This is the house that in the summer of 2019 we filmed Memento Mori. Actually, I'm going to use the take from before that we did. I think ça fait le job. But what I am going to say here is we're not technically allowed to be here anymore because we can't go inside. It's a private residence, and it was just like some sort of Airbnb that we had rented. And so the house that is in there is nothing like the set that we had built inside of it. We completely redid the whole space. And so instead of standing out here in the cold, I figure we'll go someplace a little bit more pleasant and discuss a little bit more about the making of this film.
Audio test.
La 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 la.
Okay. Frame.
Insert, take one, action. My name is Derek Bagley, and I am originally from Chicago, Illinois in the United States, and I have lived here in Montreal now for the last year and a half. I moved here to marry my husband, who I live with right near Parc La Fontaine. And I am a filmmaker now. To answer the first question, I began my career not as a filmmaker, but as a politician. I had started studying political science and had gone into institutionalized American government. I was working for the Democratic Party and raising money for candidates. And you ask yourself, how does that person become a filmmaker? Film as the ultimate visceral language. It is a visual and auditory semiotic, and that's the reason that I make films. And the thing that I'm most interested about in them is how do we connect ideas to someone inside without the need for written or spoken language. My topics tend to be about people, regardless of their sexual orientation, that are repressing parts of themselves or that are being told to repress parts of themselves and are trying to navigate a world with the sort of mask that they're wearing and hiding who they truly are. And I think that that was a big part of my own queer experience. And no matter what I write, I cannot help but write that film. Well, let's talk about death. That's an experience everybody knows. Everybody knows what that feels like to lose a loved one or to feel like they're dying themselves or to see people dying around them in any way. And so after being someone that watched a lot of relatives die as a young child, I realized that that deathbed scene was really important to me. But what I realized too is that I think the way that cinema depicts death, especially a deathbed scene, is slightly ridiculous and sort of outside of the realm of what's really happening in those circumstances. I think films like to portray these mourners around the dying person, holding their hand and caressing them and having these outpourings of very sentimental emotions. And I thought to myself, what if we flip that on its head and say, what happens when someone dies that we don't love? What happens when they die and you're in the bathroom or you're doing drugs or you're talking about sex or you're eating? I had 3 months in which to make this film, and I was in a foreign country directing in a language that I did not speak and had to just make do and make it work. And I think that was the most interesting experience of my life because we had to really invent the wheel from the ground up. We had to find a crew. We had to find our actors with nobody really guiding us. There was no one backing this film other than me and my producer, Taylor. And I've never been more grateful to professional folks that I have worked with than I have been here in Montreal. I made a team that has become, at this point, like a true family. I really cherish the things that they taught me. And I want to give a huge thank you to the cast and crew of Memento Mori, specifically those who were local, for teaching me and Taylor how to make a film here and how to make one, period. To me, while a challenge, it ended up making a better film because I think a lot of the time when we're really focused on dialogue. We get ebbed in with that as the driver behind the medium of storytelling. But as I was saying earlier about film having a language beyond written and spoken language, you have to tell the story in pictures and in sounds, and not speaking the language gave me that opportunity. A melodrama, in the traditional sense from a Hollywood perspective, was a film that had every element serving the narrative of the film. What that means is each detail of the set design went toward the narrative and thematic ends of the film. Each sound in the sound design had the same impact. And Memento Mori is very much this type of film. And you can watch it once all the way through very superficially and have a good time, but when you start to analyze it in those terms, you start to see patterns, down to when people are standing in certain places in a scene, that has significance. When the camera moves in a certain way, that has significance. Every part of that film is serving the narrative, down to the buttons on a blouse. And I ask you in closing, when you watch the film, or if you can have the opportunity to watch it a second time, to consider those things. Think about color, think about movement, think about gesture, think about placement, and all of these things. And I think you'll have a very interesting text to unpack in that. With that, I want to thank the Imagination Film Festival in Queermont, Quebec, for giving us this opportunity, and hope to see you at the movies. Thank you.